We are working on a crowdfund model.
Ah.
Now, crowdfund, of course, has been done also in the breakthrough energy scene. Money was coming in, and then they tried to support one researcher, and in the end, it never goes anywhere. What we propose is that you have to couple this crowdfund onto a business plan and it is a holistic business plan from A to Z, and you already need to work it out up front. How are we going to get a product that is being backed by grassroots people through the crowdfunds? How we're going to put this into the market, and you're already going to lay it out to the people. And you're going to tell your plan, okay, this is what we're going to do. We need your support, because one aspect that has been overlooked a lot of times in this breakthrough energy scene is consciousness itself. The consciousness, when a researcher has his eureka moment and he builds a machine and he reaches out to a company or to somebody with money, maybe the consciousness is there, but it's not big enough. I truly believe that consciousness also works in numbers. And of course, breakthroughs can be being put out by people alone. But if you're talking about the next big thing, this is how I call it. When these technologies come into the market, this is going to be bigger than the internet. It is really like reinventing the wheel or fire. It's going to be that big. It has implications on every daily aspect of life when these technologies come to market. So you need a bigger plan than, okay, we got a technology and we want to bring it to market. No, you need a marketing team. You need a face for the campaign. But I really believe that it can be done by a crowdfund. Now the kicker is that you need to create a buzz that is going to be picked up by mainstream. Here comes mainstream again. So, and I can lay it out a little bit in a nutshell what we're working on the background. We're actually working on 3 different crowdfunds, and they're all interconnected with each other. There are 3 different crowdfunds, but they're all interconnected. Now the first crowdfund, because that is another part that is lacking, is going to sustain a standard and protocol vision that Joel Garman, one of our speakers in the past, has. What a lot of people don't understand is that if you want to attract business people who are going to put the money on the table for your technology, it needs to be proven. Those people need to know if this is the real deal. Now, this is not the case for the breakthrough energy scene. People come up with technologies, they don't know how to measure it. It's actually not what they think it is. So what we're proposing is that we're going to have a standard and protocols being set up, and that's for different technologies. People can use those standards and protocols to see if they actually have something. Now, if they live up to those standards and protocols, then a vetting team can go to those people and apply those standards and protocols again. Now, then a stamp of approval can be given to those inventors. And then other people can see, okay, this stamp of approval is there, the standards and protocols are in place, so this is the real deal, and we can get behind it. This is a big part. This is a boring part for a lot of people, but it's a very important part that needs to be established in this breakthrough energy scene, because you have it in all kinds of different business models around the world for other things. You name it, cars or there are standards and protocols in place there that people have to follow. For security reasons, is it safe? Is it doing what it's promising? All those kind of things.
So some kind of skilled quality control. Like instead of a company or a state making a board of certifications, it's like the people themselves coming together and vetting each other's discoveries and also contributing to understanding all the aspects better, practically speaking, of these inventions. Is it like that?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. And what's going to happen is you got mainstream science on the one hand, who says these technologies can't be true because science tells us by the same...
No, the paradigm tells us, yes.
Yeah, the second law of thermodynamics and those kind of laws are telling us that this can't be a reality. Now, if there has been a board of standards and protocols and they can prove that these technologies are the real deal, then there will be more and more people in this field are going to sign off on this.
Yeah.
And it's going to spread like an old stain. And more scientists, because they see this list are getting bigger and bigger and bigger of people in their field who can actually sign off on this because, it can be proven that it's real.
Yeah, not only that people sanction it like authority or like an awareness or like a paradigm shift, but also to have working prototypes. Because, you can't deny what people can see and touch, right? So working prototypes is essential to even start contemplating manufacturing it. So what's your ideas? You said there were 3 crowdfundings. You mentioned the first one.
And it's very funny that you mentioned the car already a couple of times, because the second crowdfund that we're going to put out, that first crowdfund is not going to need a lot of money. This can be established for let's say $80,000 or less.
Right.
So we can come up with this money within our own breakthrough energy community. Now the second campaign, crowdfund campaign, needs a little bit more money. We're really gonna reach out to the crowdfund community. Now the crowdfund community, if they pick something up because it is promoted by the crowdfund platform itself, because they like your idea, it's cutting edge, it's something that people really would like as a solution, like that you can drive your car from the west to the east coast in the States without refueling, then you can connect with that crowd. Now, if that crowd gets behind an idea that we have, and we have seen this before, there has been a crowdfund campaign related to this to rebuild the Tesla Wardenclyffe Center. And that campaign generated 1.3 million. So, people are interested in this. Now, what we're proposing in that second crowdfund is that, we got the standards and protocols in place now. What we would like to do is we're going to create a campaign that a car is going to drive from the west to the east coast in the States. And, and this is going to be on the breakthrough energy technology. So we're also going to put out a call to all those inventors that if you have a technology out there that we can put in a car, and that can live up to the standards and protocols that we have, we are willing to adapt your technology in this car. We're going to take care of you financially, because I really believe in the model that not everything should be for free. That is another misconception that is being taught in the alternative community. We just like to do it fair. So we're not going to work with people who want $1 million or a couple of $1 million. It has to be reasonable. But now,
but not hyper commercialized, of course.
No, because this is going to be grassroots backed.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be for one company, but that comes in the third crowdfund. The second one is really to create that buzz. Because if you can drive a car from the west to the east coast, then it's up to a marketing team to get this into the mainstream. And they will pick up on this if you make a spectacle out of this.
Of course.
If you can really show that this car is not being refueled. And like especially in every state, you're going to invite a different speaker or somebody that is important to the community to drive that car.
Right.
And people who donated to the crowdfund campaign can actually sit in the car for an hour or 2 hours and have a conversation with the driver, one of the important people.
And of course, everything being put out on the internet, filmed and documented. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be live streamed. You need to attach catering that is sustainable, organic. So every stop that we're going to have in a state, we're going to have a press conference, and there's going to be catering that we think that's how catering should be. And that's why I like the crowdfund campaign, because that is the mechanism that a lot of people get on board, and the consciousness for the idea is growing and growing and growing, and that is a much better strategy than a lone inventor or a company that is going to bring this technology into the marketplace, because I don't really see that happening. They're not going to allow that.
No.
But if there's a lot of eyes on an idea and it's growing, then I really think that that is going to succeed, because it's the next step in evolution.
Yeah, I have to express how impressed I am with your realizations, because if you're making this into a crowd effort, you're just a facilitator. The strategy you're making is to make yourself superfluous, because if they took you down, it doesn't matter. It would go on. It wouldn't change anything, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a crowd thing. It's different people. They would have to kill off millions of people if they would have to stop it the old, primitive, brutal way.
Yeah, and this just needs to be done. And I don't see that I'm going to do that by myself. No, it's going to be a group effort.
Yeah, and it's not going to be dependent on certain individual, right?
No. And to get back to round that freeway crowdfund off, so the second one is really going to be the media spectacle to prove that this is a reality and that we can drive a car from the west to the east coast.
Yeah.
Now, about that time, when this hits mainstream news, then you can really activate the masses. And that's where comes crowdfund number 3 into place, because then we're gonna ask the general public to back us, because we want to put this technology on the marketplace, and we don't want to do that through one company. No, if we really want to make a paradigm shift, we really need a Manhattan Project on steroids, because we don't have another 10 or 20 years to turn this around. So we need a lot of companies on board. We need a lot of governments on board, and we need a lot of people on board who are going to tell those governments and those companies, this is a reality. We want this technology. The money is here, because we're backing it also to get this off the ground. And So part 3 is really the business plan behind it, and this needs to be a holistic business plan that keeps, for instance, one of the aspects of this business plan that we're proposing is that from every unit that is going to be sold in the future, a portion of that unit sales needs to be put into a fund that is going to be used for people who can't afford to buy a unit.
Right.
Because what I see happening, even when the powers that be is going to allow one of these technologies come into the market from one company, it's only going to be the people who can afford it, who can buy a unit like that or a car like that. And we want a solution across the board for everybody.
Yeah.
So and we've got the money, but a portion of that money needs to go somewhere else, and that's just one of the things that we think should be implemented in that holistic business plan.
Right. There's so many things I want to pick up on what you've said, but I promise you I'm not going to lose track of where we are in the flow of the subject, so we're going to get to your third crowdfunding too. But okay. I just want to say or ask right now, for instance, when you mentioned this brilliant idea of how you're doing it with crowdfunding, now could you also take a portion of the fund for every item sold, whether we're talking about cars or because this will, when it's breakthrough, it will, like you said, be on all aspects of society, not just cars. So there will be millions and millions upon dollars. You give huge profit. But could you let's say, derail some of the funds to repay crowdfunders? Instead, they become investors. Not for profit, but like say, okay, we collected millions of dollars to get through all these crowdfundings. Now money is generated from this because we got the breakthrough. Then they could get it back. And in a way, then you could say that, I think it would be an easier incentive if there's no guarantees, but at least it's like, okay, I'm a poor student, but I'll donate $500 and I know that it may ensure my future. And I may even get the money back. And then it's free. Then we've actually saved the future. But what do you think? Is that possible?
That is possible. That is a different view on crowdfund. But what I would like to see is, because one of the aspects of people who support crowdfunds is that they want a product back. They don't want money back.
Okay.
That's not the incentive, but
no, of course.
Yeah. What I think would help that much more people also will have a trust in a crowdfund campaign, because the situation now is that people donate to a crowdfund campaign, and eventually they see the end product coming or not. The way to get that product out, it's still a big mystery. And especially financially, what I hope is that some WizKid is listening to this podcast or is going to see our presentation on the conference and is going to invent an app that allows you into the bank account of the crowdfund campaign, and that you can actually see what's happening with the money. You can't take money out. You can only put money in, but you can log into that bank account and see exactly what's happening with that money. And if you can, to make that app in a way that you can even click on the expenses and go a little bit deeper, if you would like that, to see which companies we were dealing with. Because again, I think we should only deal with companies who have the same view as us. Who have the same morals and the same standards as us.
Yeah, you can't trust anyone else. So yeah.
No, so we want to do business with companies who get it. This new way of dealing with stuff. So I think that app, and I know 9 of the 10 people are not interested in that app, but it is another aspect that you show people this is transparent. If you really want to dig further into it, how we do business and how this product really comes to market, then this is the way, one of the ways. And I think that should be a next step in the evolution of crowdfunding. It needs to be even more transparent than it is now. And I'm sure that people are willing to put up money on the table, and they don't want to even want to have it back, as long as these technologies come out and they're going to be available for everybody.
Right. So and this is a global project, right? You're not just focusing on America or Europe. You're trying to get everybody in here, not just on the crowdfunding side, but also on the brains side, that inventors, researchers. It's a global thing, right?
Yeah, we're also in the presentation, we're really going to put out a call of the certain people we need on the team to make this happen. So you need your marketing people, you need your technicians on board, you need people who know everything about cars, you need people who know everything about electronics. We need catering people on board, we need PR people on board. Now I don't mind where those people come from. When they have their same views as us and they're vetted, and I don't mind if they're coming from China, Russia, or whatever. So it's going to be a global thing.
Right. No, I'm totally behind you, because if you get to do this thing, drive something from coast to coast, it doesn't even matter if the mainstream is picking this up. If there's enough you know that a shift, any revolution, and you can study history, this goes for political revolutions, it goes for economic, for technology, for psychology, any big change. Always, first of all, it always comes from below. It never comes from above. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, you don't need like 51% to make the shift. All history shows you. And this is understandable for people who study stuff like quantum physics, consciousness, morphogenetic fields, all that stuff. You actually only need about 10 to 15% to make that change on any area, especially awareness. So let's say then that enough people is on board on this and you're driving this car. If still this couldn't be manufactured, if you didn't get to the next step of selling this to people who wanted it, it would be like a world revolution, because as soon as mainstream people pick up on, wow, this is possible, they can go to the internet and see for themselves. They don't have to listen to the debunkers who try to distract us with all sorts of ideological and faith-based.
Yeah, and one of the aspects that we want to do is that we're going to drive that car past universities on the route.
And, brilliant.
And those are the places that we're going to have our press conference, and we already have some ambassadors in place in those universities who already told all the university students, hey, there's a car coming tomorrow here. Right. On the not on the campus, because that won't be allowed, of course, but just outside the campus. And you should check it out, because this is amazing. This car drives from the west to the east coast without refueling. Now, I can bet that there's a lot of university kids who are going to take a look, and they're going to be on their social media and on their Twitter and on their Facebook, and they're going to say, hey, what I saw today is going to be a revolution, because I really truly believe that young people have to pick this up on the universities and to get the ball rolling.
What's the third crowdfunding you're planning?
So actually the third crowdfund, okay, we've got the car now with the technology inside. Now to bring this car into production, that's a whole different ballgame. And that will cost millions and millions and millions, a couple of $100 million even. But if you succeed in step 2, you don't need a crowdfunding for manufacturation, because people will line up as investors. You can't stop it at that point. Even commercial mainstream companies will try. Yeah, but then that is true. But I would rather have, let's say 500 million people backing this, than 10 companies who are going to put each 50 million on the table. Yeah. Because again, it's the consciousness behind it that will make it a success. So we're not looking for big investors or big companies to jump on board. They're welcome at a later stage, because when we are ready to take this into production, companies can buy a license. Right, smart. And again, there's going to be a mechanism in that license that they have to stand up to certain standards and protocols, those companies. Right. And again, a portion of those funds that are going to be generated by those companies are going to be put in a fund to help the people in India or in Africa. So yes, I still think that third crowdfund is necessary, and about that time that third crowdfund is running, I also hope then that there's really going to be a movement stepping up, because the last aspect of this is that there needs to be a movement who's going to say to the governments around the world, we know that this is a reality and you have to support this. Exactly. And if you're not supporting this, we're going to go out into the streets and you have to move over until the next generation of politicians is there who will get it. Yeah, and they don't even need to go to the streets, because as soon as they pick up on politicians stopping this, not fighting for this, and they know it's real, they will vote them out of office where they can vote them out of office. I know there's a lot of elusive democracies. There's voting machines and all that stuff, and we're going to have programs on that too. But no, I see what you mean. At this point, if you get to point 3,
it will go by itself. I'm so convinced. There's no stopping it at point 3. You've thought through this. You're so right in what you're saying. If you left point 3 up to the companies, there's no guarantee what will happen next. They will always find a way to make something worse out of, no, you can't trust them.
No,
So, if you are allowed to get through these stages, it's waterproof.